James Hartley had never been a suspicious man. At 42, he'd built a good life, comfortable job in IT consulting, a modest home in a quiet suburb of Chicago, and a wife of 7 years, Victoria, who ran her own yoga studio. He wasn't flashy, but he was consistent, dependable, the kind of man who always remembered to take the trash out and never forgot an anniversary. But something had changed. It started with late nights at the studio. At first, it made sense. New clients, growing business. Then came the new phone she never let out of her sight, the weekend retreats, and a sudden need for privacy that hadn't existed before. James tried to trust her. He really did. But when she came home with a faint whiff of cologne he didn't wear, something inside him snapped. Not rage, not sadness, just certainty. He didn't confront her. Not yet. He started watching. Quietly. Her new iPhone had the same passcode as the old one. Rookie mistake. He checked it while she showered, careful to place it back in the exact same spot. Texts to someone named R. Late night banter. Emojis. Photos. One image seared itself into his brain. Victoria, half naked in their bed, smiling into the camera. The bed they shared. The one James had built by hand. He sat for a long time after seeing it. No tears. No shaking. Just a hollow kind of stillness. Then he opened a blank notepad on his laptop and typed 2 words. Get even. Over the next 2 weeks, James became 2 people. To Victoria, he was still the dependable husband, helpful, unassuming, a little distracted maybe, but still the man she believed she was fooling. To himself, he was a planner. He researched. He mapped out timelines. He printed copies of the messages and stashed them in a manila folder. He installed a silent keylogger on her laptop and found more. Emails, calendars, hotel bookings. She was meeting R every Thursday, like clockwork. James now had a name, Ryan Camden, a fitness influencer. 6-pack abs, 6,000 followers, and about 6 functioning brain cells, based on his messages. But that didn't matter. James didn't want to punch Ryan. He didn't even want to confront Victoria with the evidence. That would be too easy, too emotional. No, what James wanted was precision. Something cold, something that would act. He started with the studio. Victoria had recently taken out a private loan to expand. James knew because she had him co-sign. The money was in a separate business account, one she assumed he had no access to. But James had set up the account. He knew the routing. He also knew where the IRS tended to look when small business owners started shifting funds without reporting them. Next came the affair. James hired a private investigator, discreet, expensive, worth every penny. In 3 days, he had a folder thick with photographs, Victoria and Ryan at a downtown hotel, hand in hand at a juice bar, kissing in the front seat of her car. He made copies and mailed them to a few strategic people, her parents, her business partner, and their financial advisor. He knew each person would react differently, but the combined effect would be devastating. Not out of malice, just balance. James also began laying a subtle groundwork with friends. He floated casual comments about feeling off in the marriage, noting how distant Victoria had become. Not accusations, just observations. By the time the truth came out, he wanted everyone to say, yeah, we kind of saw it coming. The final step was personal. James booked a meeting with a divorce attorney. Quiet, no fault, ironclad. He brought the folder with him, dates, screenshots, photos. The lawyer raised an eyebrow and said, "You're either very thorough or very hurt." "Both," James replied. Then he went home, made dinner, and waited. He knew Victoria would be gone Thursday night. He had something planned for Friday. Friday morning dawned crisp and silent. James Hartley woke before his alarm, dressed with calm precision, and brewed his usual cup of black coffee. Today wasn't a day for emotion. It was a day for execution. Victoria returned home after 10 a.m. She slipped in quietly, wearing leggings, oversized sunglasses, and the faint guilt that only someone with something to hide carries. James was at the dining table, laptop open, seemingly working. She smiled like nothing was wrong. "Morning," she said breezily. James looked up. "Hey, sleep okay?" She hesitated. "Yeah, just tired." She poured herself a cup of coffee, unaware of the storm gathering behind those calm eyes across the table. As she sipped, James glanced at the wall clock. 10:23 a.m. "Vic," he said, standing slowly. "Can we talk for a minute?" "Sure. I know about Ryan," he said, searching for the right lie. James' eye. He raised a hand, quiet and firm. Don't. I've seen the texts, the pictures. I know about the hotel, the Thursday meetings, everything. She leaned back, defeated. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't mean for it to happen. You did mean for it to continue? She opened her mouth to respond, but he was already on his feet. You're going to want to check your email, he said, grabbing his coat. What did you do? I didn't scream. I didn't break things. I didn't beg. I just adjusted the scales. And then he left. An hour later, Victoria's life began to crumble. First came the email from the IRS, courtesy of an anonymous tip flagging irregular financial activity at her yoga studio. It would take months to resolve, especially since James had included detailed ledgers showing undeclared cash payments and shady withdrawals. Then came the messages from her mother, her business partner, her financial advisor. Each had received copies of her affair. Some responded with disappointment, others with disbelief. One of them simply replied, "You blew up your life for that guy?" By noon, the studio's social media pages were flooded with rumors. A few regulars canceled their memberships. One of her investors withdrew funding. James hadn't said a word online, but the evidence was out there, and people made their own connections. And Ryan? Ryan ghosted her. The second the story caught fire, he deleted his social media and vanished into the digital void. She tried calling. No answer. She tried texting. Delivered, but never read. James, meanwhile, was at his lawyer's office finalizing paperwork. The divorce would be uncontested. He was leaving her the house for strategic reasons. The mortgage, after all, was in both their names, and the IRS might be very interested in her assets. By evening, he was sitting at a bar downtown with his old friend Marcus, sipping a whiskey that burned just right. She cheated on you with a watered-down Chad, Marcus said. I don't know how you stayed that calm. James smirked. I didn't need to raise my voice. I just needed her to hear the silence after everything fell apart. That night, Victoria texted him. Can we talk? He read it, let it hang there, then typed back. We did. This morning. And then he blocked the number. James Hartley didn't get mad. He got precise. And as he walked back to his car, cool wind in his face and freedom blooming in his chest, he felt something unexpected. Not revenge or satisfaction, just peace. And that was more than enough.